My name is Daryl, and I'm 38 years old. I'm an office worker. My wife Haley is 32 years old and a housewife. Haley loves housework and feels that being a housewife is a blessing from God. Our house is always clean and comfortable to live in, and her cooking is so delicious that we never feel like eating out. Although we have been married for 10 years, we still haven't had any children. We bought an apartment near the station and live a relaxed life together. However, in our 10th year of marriage, Haley's behavior started to change. She was originally a homebody and preferred to stay at home rather than go on trips, but she started to go out more frequently. When I asked her about it, she told me that she had become friends with other wives in the neighborhood and would have lunch and go shopping with them. At first, I welcomed it. Even though it was originally her wish, I was a little confused about Haley staying home all the time. So I was relieved to hear that she was involved with a community outside of her family. However, Haley's outings increased more and more, and towards the end, she was only at home for a few days out of the month. Moreover, she would go out during the day and wouldn't return until after midnight. Of course, the housework was neglected, and I had to do it after I returned from work. Additionally, Haley was wasting a significant amount of money. She used all of my earnings and even told me that it wasn't enough. She even used money from the rent and other expenses, and there were times when I had to break into my savings to make up for it. When I asked her how she was using the money, she said it was for going on trips every month and self-grooming. Her clothes, bags, and accessories kept increasing, and she seemed to frequently go to beauty salons, nail salons, and estheticians a lot. "If your wife is beautiful, you'll be happy too. It's for your sake too," she would tell me. Of course, occasional indulgences and breaks are important, and I'm not telling her to stop, but it's not something we should be breaking our savings doing, or something I want her to spend all my salary doing. So I gently told Haley that I would like her to be more mindful of how she uses money and to cut back on her daily nightlife activities. "Can you think a little bit more about how you spend your money and time? I'm worried because lately you've been spending all your salary every month and it's causing problems for us. We don't have kids, so we need to think and prepare for our old age." I said something like that. I never yelled or used a strong tone of voice. I told her as gently as I could, but instead of showing remorse, Haley turned the tables on me. According to Haley, she was shopping and going out at night to relieve stress, and that I was the cause of that stress. She said she was using money to solve that problem, and then, with a devilish look on her face, she attacked me like so. In the end, I had done nothing wrong. I was told to earn more money if I didn't have any. Despite tolerating it until now and trying to gently express it to her, her attitude remained the same. Furthermore, my salary was not low. While I may not be an incredibly rich person, I lived a normal life, and I even make enough to go on a few trips a year. It was Haley who said I still lacked the funds, even after using all my money. So I was starting to think something was off, and if things stayed like this, it would affect my life too. Out of frustration, I forced Haley to give me back her debit and credit cards, and when I told her I would be managing the money from now on, Haley got even angrier. She threw things and screamed and became half crazed. I was amazed at how much someone could go crazy over money. Haley was so furious. I was honestly scared she might attack me, but I acted calm and didn't back down. If I gave in to Haley's anger and gave her back the cards, nothing would change, and it might even get worse. "Relax, it's not like I'm not letting you spend any money at all. I'm saying I'll take care of it because you've lost control of your finances right now. I'll give them back to you when you're settled again and can spend money in a more careful manner." I tried to tell her this, but it didn't stop Haley from going crazy. However, Haley remained furious and said, "Fine, I'll leave then. I want it divorced from you," she said, and stormed out of the house. I was left stunned for a while in the messy living room. Haley's change of leopard spot surprised me. I don't think I did anything wrong. I was saving and saving month after month with my meager allowance. I can't believe that my wife was living lavishly as she pleased. This kind of marriage is extremely unreasonable. If Haley were to spend all of my monthly salary on her current wasteful behavior, I believe it would be more fulfilling to spend the money on my own personal interest. I even thought that if we were going to get divorced anyway, it would be fine now. But a few hours later, Haley ran out of the house while I was cleaning up my room. I got a call from the nearby general hospital. I wondered what was going on and was told that Haley was in an accident. Apparently, she ran away from the house and drove away at high speeds, and her car crashed and exploded because she couldn't make the curve. At least, no one was hurt in the self-inflicted accident. When I heard the news, I immediately headed to the hospital. I was told that it would take 3 months for a full recovery, and I thought this would make Haley reflect a little, but I was wrong. Haley, even on the hospital bed, did not change in any way. Despite not changing her intentions to divorce, she told me in a commanding tone of voice that I should take care of her until she was cured. With this attitude, any little concern I had in me had completely evaporated. Why should I be such a man of convenience? How selfish is this woman? I couldn't bring myself to say anything that day and just went home in silence, but after a while, I received a call from Haley. As soon as I answered the phone, a loud voice that hurt my ears came forward. "What are you doing? Bring the money for my hospital bill quickly. I'll still wait for the divorce. Just take care of me until I get better. It's only the natural thing to do as a human. Well, depending on how you take care of me, we can still be husband and wife. Just try your best." Upon hearing this, my patience reached its limit. What is she thinking? It's your responsibility. Don't think I'll just keep quiet. That was all I felt. But Haley didn't care about my silent demeanor and only told me to come to the hospital soon. She told me that all her relatives would be coming to visit the hospital tomorrow and that I should come too. Upon hearing this, I had an idea. Wow, everyone is coming to pay their condolences. Good to hear. I couldn't help but smile. I was glad to hear it over the phone. I decided to go to the hospital the next day. I came up with a plan. Regarding the plan, I kept it a secret from Haley, but at least I told her I would show up at the hospital the next day. Haley didn't realize anything yet. "Yes, you should have just shut up and come in the first place. How annoying," she said. Her bold statement will probably not be so bold tomorrow. The next day, when everyone from the family was gathered, I timed it so that I brought a man with me. All the relatives were stunned, and everyone seemed to be concerned with the man I had brought with me. It's understandable that bringing an unfamiliar man into a hospital room where relatives have gathered would be an action that would not be easily understood. However, Haley's reaction was different. When Haley saw the man's face, her face turned pale and she started to tremble. I was secretly amused when I saw my wife's expression. I introduced the man to the relatives, who still couldn't fully understand the situation. "This is Mason. He's Haley's lover." The room erupted in chaos upon hearing this. My strict in-laws, relatives who were local landowners, and business owners were all upset. "Having an adulteress for a daughter-in-law would be a disaster if it got out among the family. What were you thinking? It's a disgrace to the family." Haley was scolded by her parents and relatives and turned pale, unable to deny it. Ignoring the commotion, I explained the situation. In fact, when Haley's nightlife activities had escalated, I hired a detective to investigate. She said she was hanging out with the neighborhood wives, but I thought it was a bit strange, so I decided to have a professional follow and investigate. The results of the investigations revealed that she had never met any of the wives. I was surprised that her lover was one of my subordinates, whom she might have exchanged contact information with secretly when I invited them to our house several times in the past. My subordinate was a good worker, and I thought he was an accomplished and handsome guy, but when I questioned Mason about the facts, his expression suddenly changed. "Oh, you found out, didn't you?" he said while laughing in a huff. And then could you please stop managing your wife's finances? We were having so much fun, and it's causing problems. You only think about making money, so it was good that she was able to use it, wasn't it? Your wife will leave you if you can't give her more money," he said in an arrogant manner. However, Mason forgot that I was his boss. It was just during the time of personal evaluations, and Mason was up for a promotion, but promoting someone with personality issues is not possible. I reported Mason's word and actions to my superiors, and Mason was demoted. Perhaps he was flustered, but Mason suddenly changed his attitude and started apologizing to me, and after that, he readily agreed to be brought here today. So, no matter how pale and shaky Haley may get, Mason couldn't help or take a strong stance. She desperately tried to catch Mason's eyes, but he ignored and avoided her. Even Mason was scolded by her relatives, and he immediately started apologizing while crying. While watching the scene, I thought to myself how nice it was to have a private room, feeling so relaxed. Mason, who was getting blamed a lot, told me he was quitting the company, so I made him write his resignation in front of me, and I made him promise to submit it the next day. And of course, after telling him that I was going to make him pay for alimony, Mason left the hospital room. The only one left was Haley. Haley had been silently shaking, but when Mason left, she suddenly started crying. Please, forgive me. I won't cheat anymore. I'll be a good wife. Haley pleaded over and over while crying, but her relatives were also furious with her. My mother-in-law's anger was especially intense, and she slapped Haley repeatedly without caring that she was injured. Haley cried even more after being hit. I further scolded her. I put a business card from my lawyer on the hospital room desk and said, "I'm divorcing you. I don't want to see you anymore, and from now on, you'll talk to my lawyer." And then, as Haley cried even more at the mention of divorce, I delivered the final blow. "Oh, and we need to talk about alimony. I'm going to ask for all the money you spent back." As I left the hospital room, I heard Haley's screams and heard my father-in-law's voice announcing that he would disown Haley. After that, my lawyer took care of everything. I was divorced and single again. I requested $20,000 of alimony from Haley. Of course, no property division was due to compensate for her spending. Haley's parents seemed to have really disowned their daughter, and she had nowhere to turn. Apparently, she's working nights now to pay for alimony. Well, it doesn't really matter to me how she makes her money, and Mason immediately submitted his resignation letter the next day after that, and quit. The $50,000 compensation was paid in full with his severance and savings, but he seems to have been left with almost nothing. He went back to his hometown far away, but it seems that he can't find a job in the rural area, so he's now working part-time. If he hadn't cheated, he would have been on the path to promotion, but he ruined his life. I guess it doesn't matter anymore. My former wife, who betrayed me and my former subordinates, have fallen to the bottom, but now I am living a carefree life.